is presented by Botano. The game starts now. Here are your hosts, Brent Wallace, Jason York, and Bobby Ryan.
Good July morning, everybody, except to Ben in the UK who is watching. It's the afternoon for him. So nice to have everybody aboard. I'm Brent Wallace. This show presented by Botano. Jason York is, of course, always in the middle of things. And on the wing is our, I don't know, Bobby, is that you?
That's me. What's up, fellas?
Yeah.
Good to see everybody.
Wow. Did you bring us gifts back from your vacation?
I did. I got you guys shirts from Sundance Resort in Utah.
Thanks.
You
know what? In fact, we'll just get right to it. I've acquired some photos. You know, the paparazzi's everywhere, Bobby. Vacation photos. This would be you fishing, I believe, in Utah.
Idaho, Utah. Yeah. A little bit everywhere.
Yeah. Okay. And then, well, here you are again in the wilderness, but you're wearing a Blackhawks jersey. I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe you were secretly a DeBrincat fan. I'm not sure.
Well, they've been taking on anybody.
Here you are with the sock eyes. I'm not sure what jersey that is, wearing number 80. You look like you're having a blast. Now, can we zoom into the right hand? This is the irony of this whole picture.
Oh, thanks.
Your thumb is not even covered in the glove.
That's one of the few fingers I haven't broken yet. So I appreciate you guys, hanging it out there. And I don't know what happened to my hair, but I lost it halfway through that segment. I had good flow early on.
It was you draw those, Wally? Did you do those?
I had to pay good money to acquire those. So the trip. So things have been good. I take it.
Things have been great. Yeah, I'm home for about.
Okay, don't tell me you're going on vacation again. You've got to read the contract.
I'm not going on vacation. I'm going up to close up the house. Unfortunately, I sold my Idaho place, and then I'll be back to Nashville full time, and will not be missing any shows in the foreseeable future, unless they're at 5 a.m. Then we'll talk about it. But I'm back.
Okay, I might just work one up for 5. I would like to see that.
That's no problem. I'll be there.
All right, Yorkie, is it trivia night for you tonight, by the way, at the Cat?
Monday is always trivia night, and I think they finally, I think Dustin finally got mosquito buzz there, so won't get eaten alive. Like, how great of an invention is that, a mosquito buzz? They got that in the States, Bob?
I've never heard of that. No.
In the States, they just use all kinds of chemicals. They don't have the same kind of laws here, Yorkie. They can use napalm in the backyard.
So basically, a guy in a Ghostbusters suit comes to your house and sprays your entire yard. Yeah. And they say, don't go outside and don't let your cat or dog out for like a half an hour. But here's the thing. If they're doing your neighbor's house and you have a fence, like, what is the chemicals not like allowed over the fence? Like if you're outside?
It's got a natural stopping point. Yeah. We spray that stuff down here, but the guy's like, you might want to get a hotel for the night.
Yeah, it's highly flammable.
Yeah.
I will say 2 doors down, my neighbor has it, and we have all kinds of mosquitoes. So I don't know if they do stop.
They're driving them out into your yard.
Yeah,
so that's how it works.
We were tempted to get it, but it's, I don't know, $400 and some, I think.
Well,
yeah, it's not cheap.
Drop in the bucket for you, Wally.
No, that's not true at all. We've got some stuff to talk about in the show. We will get to that. There's lots going on. So, Bob, since you've been gone, the Sens have they've acquired a goalie in Jonas Korpisalo, signed him to a 5-year deal, $4 million per. And then they went and traded Alex DeBrincat. I'm not so. I almost tuned into that episode to see Yorkie. I was like, I'm doing a full hiatus.
Honestly, we had Tremendez on, Ian Mendez.
Nice.
He did most of the talking, so we might have to dig into it a little. We might have to get the counter out again today, Wally. The DeBrincat counter.
Oh, I don't know if we burned it, but yeah, if we can fire that up, because it cost us a fortune to make.
Yeah.
Duty. There it is.
I love
it. It's too early in the morning for the counter, I think. Anyway,
well, now that Bob's back, we have to officially wrap it up and put that cat to bed. Like, I think after today, we'll put it to bed.
All right, I like that.
So, in case you've been living under a rock like Bobby, the Alex DeBrincat traded to Detroit. for Dominic Kubalik, Donovan Sabrango, who's from the area. Conditional 2024, possibly 2025 first round pick, be late. So you're the American on the panel here. You understand that Alex, he wanted to go back partially to his hometown, but mostly to his hometown, but he wanted to go back, I believe, to the US. Can you explain the draw that way? Because perhaps we don't understand it as much being in Canada. People take it personally, right? They say, oh, he wants to leave. He doesn't want to play in Canada. Doesn't like my team. But is there a certain draw of players wanting to return to the U.S.?
There is, yeah. I think if you for me, it didn't ultimately matter much, but some guys just prefer to be at home. And this is his right? You play a certain amount of time in the league to get to this point, to be able to kind of, he had control. He was able to pick and choose. It wasn't free agency, which you play, 7 years to get to, but he had control of the situation and he wanted to go home. And you can't fault a player for that. He's probably going to be living in his house that he's bought, for the summers there in Farmington area. And, so oftentimes when a guy comes home to play for a Toronto or an Ottawa or Montreal, they're like, he just wanted to go home. So the coin is just flipped. This is a player that played in Detroit growing up, is a Red Wings fan, gave it a year and decided it wasn't for him in the long term. And, do you necessarily fault him for that? Maybe there's a sting and there's a pang of madness at him, but at the same time, you can't fault the player for wanting to play in his hometown, in his home state. And that's ultimately what he did. So I said it all along. I didn't think he was going to be part of the long-term solution for the Ottawa Senators. I didn't see the fit with the money and the player he was going to be. So, not good riddance. You wish him well. And the trade didn't work out. That's unfortunate, but he's going home. Yeah. And there's something to be said about, you just want to, I always would have gone to play in Philadelphia if the chance presented itself.
Really?
Yeah, I heard that too, Bob. Also too, and we've spoke about this a lot, and I listened to when I think Pierre came on, he talked about doing the due diligence. I disagree about, we here's the thing. There are certain ways to get a better temperature of knowing if you can get a player to re-sign. You can, and sure, he's a good guy. They found out he's a good person. He loves hockey and all that. But at the end of the day, you can't make a trade and give up the 7th overall pick if if you're not certain that player is going to sign. And also too, like DeBrincat, it's starting to leak out now. If you're him, why would you want to stay when you're always going to be the second line player? And I said this from the beginning. I don't want to be the guy I said this. It was never a fit. The thing that should have happened last summer was so now they've got a player that they traded for in that deal that is supposedly now a top 6 in Kubalik, right? And I like Kubalik. I think he's a good player.
He's not top 6.
But here's the thing. You could have had him for free last summer. For free. You could have had him for free and kept that draft pick. And then you would still have that draft pick and you'd be right where you are. So I don't want to diss the trade. I like Kubalik. You got what you got. You were put in a bad position, but you put yourself in that position. And everyone's blaming DeBrincat now. And he's just a guy that he got traded and he got into this situation, and you go back to when he got traded, he was in shock. He kind of got caught not knowing. And then what happened? Yeah, he's American. He wants to go home. For me, I think he's just saying that. That's part of it. I think, it's nice to go home and be cozy, but if this was a different situation and he was the unquestioned number 1 left winger, I bet you wouldn't want to leave. Hey, Bob, here's the thing. When you're in a city during the hockey season, unless his wife is making all the decisions, when you're in the hockey season, I'll tell you what you do. You get up in the morning, you go to the rink, you come home and you eat, and you go to bed, and then you fly to the next city. Yeah. Detroit and Ottawa, I don't know. the weather's pretty much the same thing. It's not like you're going to California. And so
it's true.
I think it's way more with the player's role, and he's going to go to Detroit and he's going to light it up because he's going to play every single power play like he was doing in here in Ottawa. But there's going to be, when Detroit puts out their, every team puts out that thing before the season when they're highlighting who the best players are on the team, there's going to be a picture of Dylan Larkin, there's going to be a picture of Maurice Seider, and there's going to be a picture of DeBrincat. Yep. That's your team now. DeBrincat is now the central piece of that team. He's the guy on your ticket stub for game one.
Yeah.
And that's what people have to understand. And now that we've kind of had a week to digest this, man, could you imagine though, if you could go back and do it again, you could have had Kubalik for free.
Yeah.
For free. Like,
did he just turned Dominic Kubalik into the 7th overall pick. Yeah.
So then, also, if you want to do a domino effect here, Bob, if you would have taken that money, so you got Kubalik, you probably would have had to pay him a little bit more than Detroit paid him. So let's just call it $3 million. And then you use that money to maybe get a D who was out there, get into a little bidding war with New Jersey, and say, okay, we're gonna go higher. Somehow you get Marino, and then the domino falls. And then I love Jakob Chychrun. I think he's a great player. He's really good. But then you wouldn't have had to make that trade, and you'd still have 2 first-round draft picks.
11th, right? Yeah, yeah.
You would have had the 7th and the 11th. So it's crazy when you think of. I know they're draft picks, but man. Everyone's saying this past draft was one not to be missed. So, hey, I'm not upset about what they got in the trade. They got what they could, but they put themselves in this situation.
Yeah, I agree. The asset management there wasn't great. I will say, and there probably hasn't been a lot of dialogue on Donovan Sebrango, but I was at camp with him and I thought, I remember thinking this kid's a player. And I don't know what he projects to be. I don't know anything about it, but I actually specifically remember looking him up, and because I played 2, maybe 3 games with him through preseason, and he just very, very cool, calm, and collected back there. So I don't know what his projection is at the NHL level, but I remember he made a couple plays in the preseason that I was like, this kid's a player. And then I think he played
Bob.
Yeah, World Juniors. He's a good, and he's a really nice kid. So you hope he pans out too, because that would be a really nice touch to, to the trade.
Hey, I think like I said, you got what you could, and with what was happening, I've watched Sebrango for a long time. He actually played with my youngest son. They have a hockey academy here in Ottawa called CIH. So I watched him there, and then he played with my oldest son in Kitchener.
Oh, no way.
Okay. Yeah, I've watched Dominic for a long time. He was a really good prospect growing up. Actually got a little bit of edge to his game too. Can throw the dukes pretty good.
Yeah.
Skates well. To be fair, I haven't watched him as a pro, but I really think COVID kind of curtailed. Like, he got thrown into the American League at a really young age, and he wasn't ready for it because that was the only place to play that year. So I agree. I think he could potentially turn into a diamond in the rough. But man, I just the more I think about it, you could have had Kubalik for free.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
he was out there.
Like, all of a sudden now, well, if he's a top 6 now, was he not a top 6 last summer? Like, he was a little closer to the 30-goal season than he is now, right? I know he got 20, and this isn't trashing Kubalik. I like him as a player. I've talked to a bunch of scouts, friends of mine who watch him, and he's a good player. Especially, you put him on the wing with Stützle, he's gonna score. Like,
he can. Yeah, he can shoot. Yeah, he can shoot the pill. So
he can shoot it. So, but I'm just saying, you could have had him for nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, so but an interesting point you guys just brought up about COVID, and we saw recently, it was this year, right? There was a couple of guys drafted during COVID by the Sens that weren't offered contracts. I think Chandler Romeo and Ben Roger, maybe. I might be mistaken on the names. One of the things I was told was because of COVID and there wasn't any hockey, scouts only had to go on the previous year before, they hadn't seen these players. So that's why you're starting to see a lot of players, they just guessed. And so now you're seeing a lot of players not get signed because of what COVID did. Mm-hmm. I think COVID has a bigger impact than we all realize on just how that draft worked, how the players are who they are and how they developed. Something just to keep an eye on later on as to how that draft all plays out down the road.
Yeah, I mean, your first and your second round picks, guys have a good feel for no matter what. But I mean, you're taking shots in the dark after that, right? You're watching tape from the year before, and you never know how a player is going to go year to year. So there's going to be a lot of players entering that period. COVID really derailed guys in the draft area at that time. I mean, it really did. I know some players that went through it in the Spokane area, and they're like, there's no footage of us, and they're 5th round picks, but you have no clue. So I hate to say it, but how often does a 4 through a 7 round pick make it to the NHL level and be a mainstay? It's not. There's diamonds in the rough, but it's not very often. But it makes the job a lot harder on scouts and people that have to assess the long term of these players when you don't have anything. So I give a lot of grace for those guys in that year.
I watched my oldest son go through it. He was in Peterborough, and they were going to the playoffs. Playoffs canceled, then the whole next season canceled. So that couple of those age groups, the 01s, the 2000s, they're kind of like the Lost Boys. There's a lot of those guys that ended up quitting, and just you move on. And also too, those are huge development years too. Like when you're in your second year junior, third year junior, or college, or wherever you are.
For sure.
Anyways, everybody's in the same boat. But yeah, I totally agree, Bob.
The other part, so Yorkie, did Jack go down and play? There was a tournament that they held like in Erie, just to try to get draft picks on the ice where guys could see them. Did he play in that tournament?
No, that was for the younger kids. He had missed his the draft year the year before.
Okay,
but no,
that's where I was told the Sens saw Chandler Romeo. Didn't like, and he stood out at that tournament, which is why they drafted him. But they hadn't seen him all up until then. So in 2 games or 3 games, that's what scouts had to go on, and that's why we're seeing certain players get drafted and others not or falling.
All the leagues, like the OHL and all those, like they're having like secret skates to see people because nobody knows who. Like the process was just stopped, and you had to figure it out. That's why there's going to be mistakes made with those age groups, just because it was
drafting players on a shinny game.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You look great 4-on-4. Throw them in the mix.
All right. Before we go any further, it's time for sponsor reads. I wanted to make Bobby read them all, but you don't have any of the scripts, so you're just going to have to go off the cuff when it comes to Renfrew. You know what? I don't know if Gavin, if you can put up BEI, Bonisher Excavating Construction, and not Homes, we will get him to read that one too. But I don't know how much of a scramble this is. So we'll start with Botano if it's available. This show is always brought to you by Botano. Coming in hot. Visit Botano.ca or download the app. Their award-winning app is state-of-the-art, fastest, most user-friendly, and advanced betting app for your mobile or tablet. I meant to look up the Stanley Cup odds before I came on today to see if they changed it all. Have the amazing world of sports with you at Botano. Hundreds of betting options for events. Try same-game parlays with Bet Builder. Also live in-game betting, the most competitive odds in the market. Botano, the game starts now. All right, Bob.
All right. The show's been very, very loosely held together in my absence, but by Renfrew Pro, which is the original hockey tape. Pro Blade XT, it's cloth hockey tape, the one with the green core. You can find it at all major retailers or at renfrewpro.com. The most important feature is that it's hand tearable. We're never going to forget that. And give them a follow on Instagram, Renfrew Pro, for Free Tape Friday. Unlimited entries to your friends. And if you share it to your story, there's 10 extra bonus entries for a chance to win. And we're just rifling through this. Okay, I'll keep going. Bonisher Homes. That's what I got up right now.
Yeah. Do you know this?
Let's do it. It's got to be Bonisher Homes. The difference that a Bonisher home makes is BonisherHomes.com. Many options to choose from, and prices starting as low as $500,000. A variety of floor plans, so you can mix and match and make it your own. Oh, wow. Look at that!
And then you just got to say, visit BonisherHomes.com.
Visit BonisherHomes.com. Wow. Nailed it.
You might as well pick up a Bonisher home for yourself. Add it to the home portfolio you got going.
Throw one in for okay.
Yeah.
That's, you know what? I took a B vitamin at about 7:15 and it kicked in right before those ad reads.
Well, it worked for you. The Ren development just outside Ottawa in Cobden, Renfrew area. Anyway, all right. We'll move on. So we didn't get a chance to ask you, and so we'll ask you now, Bob. Based on the changes that we've seen with Korpisalo coming in, Zach McEwen getting signed, and Kubalik now on the roster, is this a playoff team going into next season?
I think they're can you put the lineup back up on the side there? But I think they're absolutely in the conversation. it's just for me, like, who do you knock out of the top 3 in the division? It's hard to say. I think Boston will take a step back in a regression, which you have to from the best team in modern history. I love the first and second line. I don't know. I mean, Kubalik is a 20-goal scorer, certainly helps. I really like the third line. The fourth line, I think, for me they can skate and they can disrupt a lot of things, but I really like the D right now as it stands. Korpisalo gives you a little bit more, I guess stability would be the word, night in and night out. But for me, it all comes down to the X's and O's and whether the system changes or not, and they take a step forward in their defensive zone. But you got another year of Sanderson under your belt. Chavi's a year older. Chychrun's going to balance things. So I think they're right there. I think that they're going to be in the conversation. They'll play more meaningful games. I know Yorkie loves that phrase. They're going to play more meaningful games down the stretch. I don't know, but I do think that they should be battling until early April for that last spot is my opinion.
I just want to point out in our chat, Sean W. in the conversations quote means no. That's what he's dissecting from your wording. So we're going with that.
I mean, I'm going to veer more towards a no than a yes, but that's only because I don't know how the team looks. Not on paper. On paper, I'm not completely sold. I think they're better. I think that their best players are going to be their best players later into the season because they have some more experience under their belt. But I just don't know who you're taking out of the playoff seed. I don't know where you're finding those extra W's. Okay,
but somebody always falters.
Somebody always does. Yeah.
The top 16 teams that played this year are not all going to be the top 16 that played this season coming up in the playoffs. Somebody's going to change.
Well, there'll be more change in the East and the West because there's sure as shit only 8 good teams out there anyway. So there's going to be some changeover. I mean, if Boston regresses and they're 20 points less than they were the year before, they're still in the playoffs. Right? Toronto's not coming out. Tampa Bay's most likely not coming out of the top 3. Divisional games become more and more important this year than ever, don't they?
Mm-hmm. They came awfully close to making the playoffs last year with 4th string goalies.
Yeah.
They were down. You were down to the nitty gritty. You had Mandolese in there, and it was crazy. So, we were a little critical over the past summer, but I'm going to give some praise to the Korpisalo move. I really like it. I thought that was a great signing. Yeah, sure, there's a little bit of risk there with the injury history, but the 1-2 of what Ottawa can roll out there right now with Forsberg and Korpisalo, I think that's as good as any. Like, not that they have a clear-cut number 1, but 2 guys that I think are really good goaltenders. If they both stay healthy, and that's the key thing. It's always health. I think if they both stay healthy, the D, I agree with Bob. It's so much better. And also, too, everything comes down to health. If you look what happened last year down the stretch, Chabot was hurt. Chychrun was hurt. It was crazy. Like, Sanderson's minutes went up to close to whatever he was, high 20s, 30s. So if they stay healthy, I think they're going to have to be a playoff team. I think Boston takes a step back. Boston made a pretty big move this summer. If you noticed what happened with their coaching staff, one of the reasons they were a really good defensive team, obviously, John Gruden, their D coach, got the head job with Toronto Marlies this summer. He's going to be the head coach there. He's one of the smartest guys in hockey with teaching the exact things you're talking about, Bob. Defensive zone, the right way, stick positioning, how to angle, how to gap up. There's a thing where I think coaching is actually going to affect that team a little bit. You lose one of the smartest guys on your staff. I think I could see Boston missing this year. I just think, they're so old. They're so old. And don't forget, they lost Orlov. He was a big loss there. Bertuzzi's gone. I see them stepping back. I see no reason why Ottawa should not be a playoff team. And I think they're making one more pretty significant move before the season starts.
So you think the team that set the modern day regular season record is just now going to fall out of the playoffs?
I do.
Wow.
I do.
Okay.
I don't know. Is there a fountain of youth over there? Like, I love Bergeron. I love what they've done there.
Well, I don't think he's back, right?
Bergeron's gone, yeah.
There's another guy. There's another guy gone. Who's taking all those draws? Who's playing all those? The guy just won the he won the you just losing the sulky winner.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they just gave it to him now. For the love of God.
He's still pretty
Norris
good.
And Nick Lidstrom. Oh, he's on the ballot? Well,
yeah.
He's still pretty good. Okay.
Bergie, you got to go back to Vegas again in June. You're just going to collect one more.
He always goes to all the award shows, so they give it to him. So there's somebody there to accept the award.
Yeah, he's still pretty good. He's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Boston's out. Trust me. They're out. They're done.
Wow. Okay. Speaking of coming in hot, Bobby, that was always supposed to be you, the hot takes. Now it's all on Yorkie.
Hot takes are that my hot take is that Boston finds a way to be in the top 3. And I'm going to say Ottawa misses by 1 or 2 points. That's it. But that's a guess. I don't know. I would help. It's so important. We'll see.
I also would like to point out from here on out, after today's show, if anybody uses the term meaningful games, you will be making a $25 donation to charity.
Deal.
Okay.
I'm in.
I can't handle that term anymore. What else? Now, before we move on, I'm going to discuss Trent Mann in a sec here, but is there anything else we would like to discuss before we get to that? Also, we expect ownership, perhaps. I know, Yorkie, you brought this up. Perhaps is going to move quicker than September, which is a bonus if that happens. If we can make the change sooner, I think that'll help as we get closer to getting the roster set for the season.
I got nothing on that. No ownership.
Yorkie, have you heard much lately?
On what? Ownership? I just heard it's not going to draw into the fall. I heard it's going to happen sooner than quickly, maybe end of July. You get the paperwork signed and Adlauer comes in and fully takes charge. But no, he's obviously getting calls right now and in the loop on everything. But I'm hearing it's going to be end of September. But who knows? Like, nothing's for certain. We all thought the team was going to be sold in April, then May, and it just kept dragging and dragging. So no, I don't know for certain, but that's just my what I'm thinking.
Bobby,
yes.
You brought it up earlier, and I meant to get back to it, so I'm kind of jumping here. You said you wanted to play in Philly at one point during your career. Did you have conversations with them before you signed in Detroit, or did they not take your call?
No. Chuck Fletcher screened me out and put me straight to voicemail, I guess. But no, I didn't ever have a conversation with them. And I feel like they were a team that I was hoping to get a call from. Obviously, I would have loved to have played at home in my last year, 1 year of it. But I feel like they had cap issues. They were right up against it, or they were close. They had Voracek and Giroux still at that point, I believe, too. So just, never materialized. But like every time I would go home in the summer, they were kind enough to open the rink up to me and let me go through their locker room. I'm friends with more of their staff than their players, that I grew up around. So it would have been a dream come true to wear the jersey for 1 year, like anybody that comes from Toronto would say about the Leafs or vice versa. So just never materialized. And when Steve Yzerman called, I had one conversation. I was like, I'm going to Detroit. It doesn't matter who calls at this point. Like, it was a pretty good conversation.
What does Stevie Y say to you to get you to play in Detroit?
Hey, this is Steve Yzerman. I'd like to offer you a contract. I was like,
Start the car.
Okay, Steve. Wasn't much of a conversation. He's just like when you talk to him, you're talking to a guy that's been through it, played at the highest level, and just has a certain way about him. He's very impressive.
Yeah, he is. Although I will say, so I'm good friends with his brother, and he got married in Ottawa, and my wife and I were at the wedding, and we're at the reception, and there's this big tower of I think it's shrimp or seafood, and I don't know it at the time, but I just come around the corner and Steve's on the other side getting the shrimp, so we kind of joked and laughed at each other. But then Steve gave a speech. It was hilarious. Like, I'm like, this is Steve Yzerman making jokes. I've never heard this before. Very entertaining guy. I quite enjoy Steve.
Yeah. I haven't seen him in that light, but but I could understand where that comes from. He's got a deadpan wit about him, I guess, or a dry.
It's like a Brian Murray type.
Yeah.
Bob, I'll tell you, you'll love this story about Yzerman. It'll make you like him even more. So I was drafted by Detroit, and in 1994 we had a lockout, So we were all sitting in limbo. I was living in Windsor at the time. Get a call. It's Yzerman. He's like, Yorkie, pack your shit. He goes, I'm taking you and Sillinger and Darren McCarty up to Treetops for the weekend. Gets a car, takes the three of us golfing for the weekend. Neither one of us pulled out our wallet once. Golfed 3 rounds up in Treetops, Michigan, which is beautiful, and just spent the weekend with Yzerman, and we were like 3 rookies. Like, how many guys are doing that?
That's awesome. Yeah.
Especially
nobody anymore.
Especially in that day and age, because when I came into the league, the unwritten rule for rookies was you don't speak unless spoken to. You basically, nobody wants to hear from you. You're not wheeling in with your stick deal and your full rookie. You are going to earn it. But Yzerman was like, you know what? I'm going to look after these guys. I'm going to bring them golfing, make them feel like you're part of the team.
Nice.
Such a great guy. Good golf up there too, by the way. Treetops, Michigan. You ever played up there?
Not Treetops. I was up at Traverse City for training camp, but we played golf every day during camp pretty much. But Michigan is one of the most underrated golf places in the world.
Exactly.
Incredible golf.
Yeah, no, there's and great hookups too, eh? Like, you play for the Red Wings, you're getting hooked up everywhere.
That's it. I had actually made my own tee time at Arcadia Bluffs without asking, because I was like, I have to go see it. I was going to drive up by myself on a Friday, play Saturday morning, and drive back. I called Larkin just to ask how far the drive was, and he's like, hang on a second, calls me back. He goes, it's free. I'm coming with you. Bert's coming with you. Fabry's coming with you. And we had a 2-day little golf bender, and never pulled out our wallets once. They took good care of you. And he's like, you're not playing. I remember Larks was like, you're playing for the Detroit Red Wings now. Things get done differently. I was like, okay, save me $700, nice touch.
So Bobby, we got to play Oakland Hills the week of the US Open, like just before they did the Pro-Am and all that.
Yeah.
They let us go out there and play. Oh my God. US Open conditions. I think I was 5-putting the greens. It was crazy. But what a course.
Too. Yeah. I lived right next to it, and I was looking at it for a week and a half, 2 weeks. And I said, I said, fuck it. I called. I've never done this before. I called a buddy, and then I called the course. I said, look, I'm here for 1 year. I'm playing for the Red Wings. I need to get on this course. How much, whatever. And the guy was like, just come on over. I walked over and played it within the hour. I was like, I've never done this. And I was like, to play this course, I'm doing it. And I went out there and I walked the course and had a blast. I met some 3 random guys that said, why don't you play with us? And yeah, it was a good day. I
love it. You pulled the Bobby Big Wheel. Hey,
I've never done it. I've never used it for a golf course once.
Robert, Bobby Ryan here, coming by, bringing my posse with me. Be there. All right.
Yeah. I'm that famous guy from Ottawa. The one with all the broken hands.
Do you know what's surprising, just on the topic of golf? I can't believe, talk to the guys in Anaheim, like, they've lost all the golf hookups there now, haven't
they? Have none. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know.
Crazy. Like, use your head, guys. Like, back when I was there, all extra tickets go to Golf Pros. So up in the stands, it's your wife, Golf Pro.
We kind of lost it in my time too. I think I was the only one carrying that on a little bit, because I was doing it way more than I should have. Oh, you're from Dove Valley? Go ahead. Yeah.
Get in there. Oh, Dove Valley. Nice track.
Yeah.
Yorkie, I would appreciate it if you would not give Bobby more places to take vacation on. Okay. Maybe just hold off a little. You just got him back.
Hey, I'm getting rid of 3 golf clubs in the next couple of weeks. So I'll be way more podcast centric, guys. I promise.
Here's the thing. Every NHL team used to have one guy on the team that he was just your golf organizer. Anywhere you went, this guy would know all the pros, all the places, and you would, if you wanted to play, this guy would get you on. My guy was always Mike Sillinger. He knew every single golf pro, I think, in the United States. Although
he played in every city.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, well, he had a duffel bag from every team.
Good in the room.
Do you ever talk to Mike Sillinger?
Oh yeah.
Okay, get him on the show.
You want to get
Ottawa Senator? Yes.
Oh God, he's a beauty.
All right. So as we close this last topic out, it's on Trent Mann. it's still going on. So I'm going to try to be careful with how I choose to word this. But it came out on Tuesday that the Senators had relieved him of his duties or they parted ways. Yeah, that didn't go according to plan because he's still on the website and his email still works as of this morning. I was just checking it earlier. So now they're trying to figure out a different way, whether it's some other contractual situation. But this is not a work performance issue. And so this one really is a tough one. I'll have more to say later, but it's a tough one. For them to try and be pushing out Trent Mann right now when there's new ownership coming in is nothing but a power move. Let all the changes happen once the new ownership comes in and they assess who they want to keep and not keep. There's no need for this one right now. And it just goes to continue to show how poorly run this front office remains. That's all I want to say.
There you go. That's all you got to say about that?
Yeah, there's more, but you got to be careful. I don't want to influence some stuff going on at the moment. So, Bobby, you would have. I don't think you've spent a lot of time with Trent since he was an amateur scout, but I do know that you've spoken to him probably around camps and if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'd be remiss if I just didn't say what a classy and nice individual he is. But that's the extent of him. My relationship with him is a few conversations, but very, very well liked in the organization and the players having him around. So I don't know. I'd be purely speculative on anything that I said. So I'll bite my tongue a little bit, but it's a shame to see him go because he's very, very well respected in the room. And I wish him the best. And maybe he gets rehired in a couple months. right back here. You never know.
I agree. Anyway,
makes no sense.
That's the issue I have with it. Just doesn't make sense. But there's been a lot of things lately through this organization that don't make sense. So hopefully on ice, we get to see an exciting lineup because I think this year
we will.
It's better, right? We expect to see better games from, and I don't know how much better they get from Tim Stützle, but he should improve. He should have that more man strength. He should be one of the, I don't know, is he top 10 players in the league or at least top 10 most exciting players in the league? Brady Tkachuk on his wing. There's a lot in that, and Claude Giroux and Drake Batherson and Josh Norris.
Do you know what the only thing I'm concerned at here, guys, this year? And I'm concerned with Josh Norris there's going to be a lot of pressure on him coming back, right? And I like him as a player. I think he's a really good player. I'm just wondering, like with Tim Stützle last year, would he get 90-some points? And now Josh is coming back. He's healthy. I heard everything's great. Just hope the expectation for him right away isn't 35 goals because for him to get 35 goals this year, a lot of things have to go right. Like for me, I'm happy if he's in the 20s.
Yeah.
Because now there's the balancing act has to start again, right?
Yeah.
Giving your looks to both Stützle and Norris, because last year, the way it panned out, Stützle got so much ice time. So that ice time is going to come down with a healthy Norris. So even if Stützle's production comes down a little bit, I don't think people should be concerned because Norris's then should come out and help balance that. And that's always the tricky thing when you're coaching. Now you got to figure out a way. And it's a good problem to have. It's a very good problem to have. But I wouldn't be surprised if Stützle still plays as great as he does and maybe the goal total comes down a bit because, you got some of those looks and opportunities are not going to go to Norris, right? So good problem to have.
It's a great problem to have. Tampered the expectation of Norris. He essentially missed a year of hockey for sure. And then, you're going to start the season with Timmy getting the minutes that he got towards the end, and you're going to build with Norris and let him come on slowly. But that is a very, very tough spot for a coach to know that you got two very, very good centers that need to touch the puck. I'd be very happy to see Josh in the 20s as well. That's a great starting point, right? Yeah.
It's just like it's like, okay, Tim, you stay on the ice as long as you want.
Yeah. Do your thing, buddy.
Like it's not hard. It's not hard to decide because there was nobody else. Yeah. And he ran with it. Like any player, right? The more you play, the better you're going to play, and the more you're going to produce. That's just I'm really interested to see. I just hope Josh gets off to a great start.
Okay, so if it matters, ice time last year, Stützle averaged 21-16. Obviously,
That's
high.
that's insane. That's
It's
insane.
way too much. Yeah.
So the year before, I'll just like Josh Norris in his 8 games this year was at 18 minutes. The year before he was 18-35 when he was the number 1 center. So can they not maybe balance both of those out?
For sure.
Oh yeah. You'll find a way. Yeah. If you see
Like
both players at 19 and 17, give or take, like that's 17 and a half is a good number for your second line center. If that's what Josh is going to be with, with give or take some fluctuation with power play and penalty kill every night. But if he's averaging around 17 as your 2, your 1B or 2, whatever you want to call that, that's a good number.
I just want to see what. All right, so Shane Pinto is at 16.
Yeah. Again, like I like to say, like you'll talk about ice time. I call it meaningful looks too. We always joke about the power play. Whoever starts the power play gets the first minute and 30, and then you get the scraps at the end.
Power killers.
So, well, it's going to be interesting to see how the power play starts too, because you go back to Norris at the one-timer position. So you don't. Number one, Tkachuk's on the power play for sure. Stützle's on the power play for sure. And Batherson's there for sure because he's your guy in the middle of the ice there. So is it Giroux or is it Norris? So it's probably Norris, right? And then
I think it's going to be Norris. You build with what you're going to be there with long term.
Exactly. Then we try to figure out, well, who's on the point now? Is it Chabot? Is it Sanderson? Is it lots of options, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be a very interesting training camp.
Yeah. Can you put the lineup back up for a quick sec, Gavin? The reason I say that, Bobby, is who is the left winger on the, let's call it the top line? If you're going to play Tkachuk with Stützle, is it Batherson or is it Claude Giroux?
I think it'll be Batherson, but I think Giroux is going to do really good in that. Batherson is a very, very good player. He does a lot of good things in tight, but I don't know if he's a guy that's really going to be the guy that carries a line, and he won't have to do that with Tkachuk or Stützle. Giroux can kind of carry a line. Oh, he's done that. We've seen that. So I think that he probably starts with a young Norris, gets him back up to speed. Giroux's proven that he can play with a ton of different players throughout his career. So Kubalik fits the bill for him to be a good shooter. So I think that the way that it's drawn up is exactly what I would like to see to start. But that's what camp's for. You kind of find your combinations. But if you're going to play Chucky and Stützle, Batherson's a good complementary piece, and Giroux can carry a line.
Yeah,
there's no way that you put Norris, Batherson, and Tkachuk together, is there?
I like that. That's what I like. I think if you want to get Norris off, like he's got so much familiarity with Batherson and Tkachuk. They love playing together. They were so good.
They were.
If you go back 2 years ago, when Ottawa finished off that season, that line, they just knew where everybody was going to be all the time. But you just look what Stützle, Tkachuk, and Giroux did this year. I'm a big believer in twos of putting guys together in tandems. So if then you can kind of move things around. Yeah. Stützle's got really good chemistry with Giroux as well. He's got good chemistry with everybody.
Yeah. See, I didn't get that. I didn't get that option. You only asked me about the right side, but I would.
I stole that from you.
You led me blind, and then thanks. And then we're like, well, let's whack the whole thing. I wouldn't mind seeing that because Stützle, Giroux, and Kubik would be a hell of a line too. So if you're going to move Norris,
but do you take? Here's the only question I have: do you take Tim Stützle off the arguably top line when he's your best forward?
If I'm the GM and I just traded DeBrincat and I got Kubalik coming into town, I'm gonna say friggin' put him with Stützle because I'm gonna look like a genius when he gets off to a heater. He's filling the net.
Yeah, you'll be going and getting a new contract 10 games in. Hey, you see what I did there?
Because Stützle
could have had him for free. It cost me a 7th and 11th, but he's doing great.
If you watch Stützle play, man, it's auto entry every time. It's auto defensive zone exit. And what's Kubalik do? He just one times it. All he's got to do is get lost in the offensive zone. So I don't know if he. I think Stützle can play with anybody. So it's just then you just got to make sure you're playing him all the time. And I love that line of Norris, Batherson and Tkachuk. I'd love to see them start. And then that kind of solves your problem of getting Norris off to a good start. You put him in a position to succeed right away where he doesn't have to carry the line as much.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys are former players, and Bobby, high-end offensive player. Does this upset, though, your number one center?
No.
And you're also 22, 23 years old, right? Like there's a little bit of
emotional
ego.
Yeah. I see. I don't think it would. I don't know Timmy from Adam. But I think if you're telling him, hey, we want Josh to get off to a good start. They've had some familiarity, and you love playing with Giroux. That much we know. And we slid in a guy that can really shoot the puck. I don't think he's upset. As long as his minutes don't go from 21 to 16 and there's some balance in there and he sees that 18-minute mark every night, I don't think he minds. First, when we're going to say, hey, you're going to be on our first power play, you're going to anchor it like you always do, and you're going to play with Giroux and Pitlick, I think he's just fine.
Yeah, gets to start every power play.
Yeah,
plays his minute and 40, whatever it is. And it kind of keeps Giroux, not that he's not
engaged.
Like Giroux, you're not on the first power play, but guess what? You're playing with Stützle all the time. It's kind of a way to keep everybody in check. Not that this group, I don't think is that kind of group, but in saying that, I still think there's another move coming, another player coming in. There's some more cap space left, but depending on what happens with Pinto. But if it stayed like this, I like the tandems. I like Giroux with Stützle.
Agreed.
Well, they got to move contracts. There's no way you can sign a high-end second line left winger with the cap space they have at the moment.
See, good problem. It's just that point, though, that we talked about years ago when everybody's got their contracts now. Just about everybody does. This is when players have to start making concessions, and you find out which guys you really want in the room when you have to ask these questions.
Right, because they got to sign Jake Sanderson. Shane Pinto is an RFA right now waiting for a new deal.
Yeah,
they've got some decisions they got to make.
100%.
And now you guys have decisions to make what to do with the rest of your day. So we know Yorkie's going to be studying for trivia tonight, and I'm guessing Bobby's on a golf course in probably about 10 minutes.
No. We're going to the gym.
Stop it.
We're going to the gym. Got the sweat vest out so we can start cutting weight for the boat next week. Yeah, I'm on it, boys.
Are there going to be calipers involved?
Never again. No. I'm going to pack that house. You know that I bought those calipers online and then I had Danielle for 5 years pinching me every week so that I could know where I was, so I could eat a burger or get a salad. But yeah, never again.
I wish there was video of this. We're going to the restaurant, honey. Which one? Well, get the calipers out.
Let me get out of the sauna here and decide what we're eating.
All right, boys. Have a great day. We'll be back later this week. We have a special guest lined up. So until then, enjoy your lovely July days. See you guys. Thanks for watching.
Good to see you, Jay.
Coming in Hot is brought to you by Botano.ca. Please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel to never miss an episode.